Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of DC Alliance. Of course, I'm your host, Clay, and with me, like always, is, of course, my co-host, Travis. How you doing tonight, sir?
Pretty good, Clay. Got my Spider-Man No Way Home tickets earlier. Didn't even have to
Finally.
leave the house
Dude,
after a couple hours of falling apart on the internet. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. We have one IMAX screen for this entire province. So actually, don't quote me on that because there is another city. I'm doing air quotations because there might be 30, 40,000 people there. So I'm not going to call it a city. This one only has 100,000, so that's the biggest place here. But we have one
Nice.
IMAX screen for this 100,000, and I secured my ticket, and that was a pretty great thing. Not gonna lie, I'm very happy. The only unfortunate thing, I was going to be responsible and not get a ticket until Friday after I finished my last final, but I couldn't do that when I wouldn't have been able to sit there study for stats, my final test, and knowing that there was a Spider-Man movie that I could have watched right now instead of waiting. I would have had to delete Twitter because I wouldn't have been able to handle any of you guys writing in the group like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." So I was like, "No, I will study before and I'll study after, and I'll just watch the movie." And I am super excited about that. I'll get to see it 2 p.m. Eastern time. So
2 p.m. Eastern time?
yeah,
So technically it'll be 3 o'clock. Or no. So if it's
three
2
o'clock,
p.m.
2 p.m., 3 p.m. your time.
Yeah. So it's noon your time, right?
No, never mind. We're mixed up. It is 1 p.m. your time. You're
Yeah,
back
yeah.
1 extra hour. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
1 p.m. your time. I'll be watching it.
Yeah. So for me, I stayed up until 11:01 when the tickets went on sale, and I think the only other person in the chat with me was Brent at that point, and we were kind of texting back and forth.
Shocked,
Um,
shocked that Brett was. I'm blown away. Not even because of your time zones match up. I'm shocked that Brent would be one of the ones staying up, making sure that he.
well, I think we both had the same idea. I think he had his iPad and his phone. I had my phone and my computer. I was able to get both sets of tickets. So the reason why I have two sets of tickets is because I went to a Friendsgiving on Friday, and it was an alcohol only Friendsgiving. And we drank way too much. I opened my big mouth and I said, "Hey, I need the 16th and 17th off." And my boss said, "Why?" And I said, "I want to go see Spider Man." And then she went from friend mode to boss mode in like point 0.4 seconds and was like, "Hey, you cannot ask off for a movie. And if you are going to ask off for a movie, you need to invite me." So I was like, "Okay,
Ooh,
cool."
I'll do
So
that.
with me purchasing a ticket at 4:30 p.m. I apologize for my dog. He's been going nuts all day. 4:30 p.m. So what I ended up doing is I purchased those that took me about 5 minutes, even with everything slowing down, lagging, every single site crashing. I was able to get those. And then the horrible experience that my wife had in Eternals and IMAX fully packed, it got really kind of disgustingly hot when we watched that. So instead, we are going into what my theater calls the VIP lounge, which is
Ooh,
only 30 seats. It was about 30 or 32 seats. They are sectioned off into pairs for couples and whatnot. And yeah, it's only 32 people that are allowed in there. It's 18 plus, so there's no kids in there. And it is basically like half a restaurant as well, so we can order from the bar and do whatever and then watch the movie. So that will be very, very nice. So I'm watching it at 4:30 on Thursday and then 8 o'clock on Thursday night as well. Watching it twice on Thursday. But this is not Marvel Alliance, people. Just wanted to talk about that because things were pretty exciting last night. I will say watching everybody freaking see and
Everybody, come on, Clay. There was I love how everyone was talking and that, and I just looked at my app and it was like no show times. I looked at Cineplex's Twitter handle. There wasn't a tweet for like it was 19 hours ago was their last tweet. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to bed because clearly we're like everything else, Canada compared to US. We're not going to get it at the same time, so let's go to bed. And Cineplex rolled out a tweet at like 11 a.m. this morning. Hey guys, at noon, the tickets are going to drop. Okay, thanks. Wonder what happened to their app and website. Take a hunch. Take a guess.
they
Crashed.
crashed.
Yeah, yeah.
I am pretty excited about it. Chris's comment here, Clay hanging with the 1%. We're joking around because I figured out that people are willing to pay really stupid amounts of money to go see this movie first thing on Thursday. I shared a screenshot of what I looked at on eBay. People have been selling their tickets. I think only 3 people, and then after that, nobody has actually bought it for that much. But three people were able to get away with a significant amount of money. If the purchase actually goes through, because eBay, you can cancel your purchase or whatever, and
How
then
about this? How about this? I put up a package deal on eBay, including a flight to Newfoundland to watch this movie. You'll get to watch it before anybody else that doesn't get press screens, any of the just generic public, because of the time zone difference. You'll get to. Can I put a premium on that, Clay? Do you think I could? Do you think I could
but
swindle people?
you have to add the disclaimer that you have to be fully vaccinated though,
Oh yeah, that's
you
true
know.
too. Well, that might eliminate some very rational people into that might irrational people that may pay that money. That might eliminate a few of those. I think I might have something though. You could time zone wise, time zone. The
I
time
mean,
travel. There you go. It's
the
something
time
built with time.
travel package, that sounds great. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. We have some interesting news, some boring news, and not any news really. But of course, we are a part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. um, 8 shows 7 days a week on a bi-weekly schedule. Of course, those bi-weekly shows being World's Finest True Believers, Ranger Alliance, a slice of film, and a walk through the multiverse. Those being, of course, on Mondays and Sunday and Saturdays. Everything else, of course, is on the weekly schedule. Recently, Travis and I have been talking about Young Justice. So watch out for technically tomorrow in the sense of when you are listening to this, but when you are viewing this, of course, it'll be on Wednesday, correct?
Well, yes, there may be a special episode as well that you were part of that
Oh,
may
yes, I was.
fly
Yes, I
out of there as
was.
well. I'm debating because we haven't recorded Young Justice yet, listeners. I've been debating whether me and Clay will get together and just talk about this one episode, or because of the special episode that I have, maybe we'll hold off and talk about the 2 episodes and have kind of a longer review. I'm still debating it. I have discussed it with Clay, but either way, you'll get it. It was a very great episode. And Clay, I'm thinking we're getting 4 episode story arcs for our main like Young Justice crowd that we
Well,
show at the opening credits, because we've gotten Tigress, we've gotten Miss Martian, we've gotten Connor. I'm assuming Nightwing is to follow at some point.
Chris just shared something with us in our GUA chat, kind of telling us otherwise. It says
Ooh.
here from HBO Max, get ready to reunite with Zatanna, Dr. Fate, and more of your favorite
Well,
heroes in Young Justice
she was
Phantoms.
one of the Zatanna was another one in
Oh, she
the,
was in the
and
opening
I was
credits.
surprised that she was included there. But she
Mhm.
was the original, like she was back in the first season. But I was surprised that she was included because she hasn't really been featured as a regular throughout the other 3 seasons. But
Yeah.
there you go. That'll be another story arc, because I'm assuming all the people we get are we're going to get story arcs with them. And I like that, actually, doing 4 episodes on a particular thing and then moving on and having it all come together in the end. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. But of course, that will be dropping. The special episode will be dropping on Wednesday. Wednesday, I will not be on the live show for Star Wars Alliance. Nathan is going to be back for a special episode with Katie reviewing the third installment of the Thrawn trilogy. So go check that out when it is available. Then, of course, everybody from Marvel Alliance on Thursday nights, dropping on Fridays. Of course, we also have a Patreon. Excuse me. $1 tier, of course. Ugh, I cannot breathe right now. Of course, gives you just a thank you to us, and we very much appreciate it. Or you give the $5 tier, which does give you the exclusive content and, of course, the early access to all of these shows on this network. With that, though, because we have a Patreon, that will give you the ad-free stuff. We are an ad-supported network as well. So you will get ads in this show. We will warn you beforehand, don't worry, but you will get ads. But with that, I think that is everything in regards to the network, the plugs, and everything else. Let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and rip this Band-Aid. There's something in the background of the YouTube video.
Actually,
If
you know what? We do. I need some more time. I watched the Flash episode again. I even need a little bit more time to understand what was going on. So yeah, let's talk about this news. Let's maybe news.
Is it news? Is it
I'll tell you
news?
this. I'll tell you this, Clay. Just full disclosure to our listeners. The picture that was shared of the turkey and the book. I this will just show how aware I am. I scrolled, I looked, I said, man, that turkey looks delicious. I just kept scrolling, went about my day for the rest of the day, and was told the following day about the book. So that shows how much Travis pays attention to things. Not even one bit at all.
Here's what I have to say about this book. Okay. Now, before all the haters want to go ahead and DM me at FanboyClay on Twitter, just so you know, me and Travis very much enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League. We enjoy Man of Steel. We enjoy Batman versus Superman. We enjoy what Snyder has implemented into the DCEU as we know it. Man of Steel saved my life personally. I could not care less about this photo. Because here's the thing. It's not going to happen. And I sound very much like my co-host at Batman News Weekly when he argued against me saying if Zack Snyder's Justice League was even going to happen. But here, I will go in the route of course, our godfather, Snell. He's always making these analogies. I'll make the same analogy, okay?
So, I believe you called him Godfather. You're really softening on this whole
Godfather of the network. I mean, don't get
although I did see you shiver a little bit when you did say it. So yeah, I still think the competition's there.
So Heinz, you've had prior relationships to the one that you have, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have had prior relationships to the one that I'm currently in right now. It does not matter how much money and or how many grasping or I can't even think of the word. It doesn't even matter how much alcohol you give me. I would never go back to that relationship or those relationships. Why? Because I'm in a current relationship that knows my worth and appreciates me who I am. That is WB and Netflix. Okay? So if Snyder is in fact the toxic one, and he's the one that just wants to join the chaos and go to WB to get burned again, that's his fault. That's his choosing. But I am pretty sure that all this picture is the beginning of his hype train for Rebel Moon. That's my theory.
Okay.
He is grabbing everybody's attention to be like, oh, hey, yeah, I have a movie coming out in the next, year? I think it's going to be
going to be a little bit longer than that.
Well, I think it's going to start
shooting in
March.
January.
Is it January? I thought it was
That
March.
was January. Maybe it could be March, but
I mean, first quarter.
The special
quarter of
effects,
2022.
The special effects are going to take a year or two.
True.
Easily.
So maybe 2023. Okay.
Yeah.
So he has a movie coming out in 2023. He figured out the perfect marketing with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Why not play with it again? You know, he has a very engaging audience. Have some fun with it. That's what this is. That's all this is.
And that's a completely fine take. And essentially, I don't, I can't say that I can't say that it'll never happen. Because I won't say never. I'll say there's a 99% chance it'll never happen. I can't say nothing because I didn't expect like Zack Snyder Justice League to come out. So I can't say uh, never, but I'm more leaning towards your side, Clay. If it's not going to happen, I'm fine with the three movies that we have. Like I really enjoy them. I'm looking forward to the stuff we have coming up. Uh, like Chris backing you up here saying his could be using the ideas from Final Crisis to build into Rebel Moon, which is
That
a
would
really
be
valid point.
that would be interesting, and I could see it. The only reason why being that, of course, Final Crisis is very famously written by Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison's brain, whenever it comes to science fiction, is on acid, basically.
Wacky.
So I think you could take some of those ideas, flip them on its head, kind of amalgam them, if you will, to make them make more sense in a setting of his movie, for sure. I could see that happening.
Uh,
I could definitely see moments in this movie and be like, oh, that reminds me of this scene in Final Crisis.
so yeah, for sure. What I want to focus on too, uh, it's completely fine as long as they're being respectful for people to get excited about this, come up with theories about this, dig deep in with this. That's not going to be what I'm going to do. But guess what? I'm not going to rain on their parade. That's what I don't understand. I've seen a lot of that. Former people I used to podcast with. If you don't, if you don't care about it, that's fine. Like you, I don't see Clay tweeting out like attacking people, like going into other people's tweets saying, "Ooh," if other people's like, "Ooh, this is interesting. Maybe it means there's another movie." I don't see Clay in there saying like, "It's stupid. That's not true. There are people being in it." Clay's gonna let you, if what he thinks is waste your time with this, thinking that it's anything, but you're gonna let them do it because as long as people aren't being hateful or insulting people, it's fine to get excited about this. That's something that really annoyed me that I've seen a lot of is people like crapping on people for getting excited for that picture because anything else, listeners, the sales for Final Crisis on Amazon and on other like in other places have been going like hotcakes. And if anything else, that's a positive thing for comics. You know, just to get a little bit of a boom in sales is nice. I'm sure for the writer, for everyone involved. It
Yeah,
did sell out, like Chris said, sell out Final Crisis Omni at many shops and distributors. Like that's fine. And like Clay said, I wouldn't mind that. And he has done stuff like We Live in a Society for Joker that wasn't in the movie. That was 100% just to build hype and get people going. So, and it didn't play into the movie at all. So you know, this could be that. I, I would say Clay's right too. If Oh, the only way I could see him ever coming back and it would make sense as it not being abusive is if there was completely like anyone that was involved in the previous three movies that he did were not there anymore at WB. That's the only way I could see this not being what you said, Clay, which is why go back to someone that treat you like crap when you especially when you're going telling everyone how good Netflix has been treating you and how great it is to have partners. The only way I can see it is if some like if they completely wipe house and you have new people come in and that. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I doubt it. I'm like I said, the Batman is coming in March. I'm super excited about that. But if you want to look at this picture and speculate and get excited and go buy Final Crisis and read Final Crisis, uh, I don't need to get excited for Final Crisis because I had Final Crisis before this happened. Had all three, and you know, I, people can get excited about it, but like you said, us on this show, I don't unless it's an announcement of. a movie.
Unless it's an official announcement of our review of the movie, meaning that it is out and we have seen it, we will not talk about this
Oh
again.
no, we will talk about if they like if they officially announce that this movie's happening. We're not going to talk about.
I mean,
I we're
I
definitely
still
going.
need to see set photos. I need to see actual money being in the transaction of marketing and everything
You've
else.
been burned so many times.
Like that's it's what it is. Like I'm sorry. Like
But yeah, do you have a thought about just the Final Crisis books being sold? You're a big comics guy yourself. Like even you get that got to be a positive. If you're fooling
as
people into
far as
buying it.
because what people were going crazy about in this entire photo is apparently, and I can't see where, but something has to do with like the page number or something, and people were
The
going
previous
crazy.
picture was a like I don't even know what they're called. A clipboard. What are they called?
Oh
For
yeah,
scene
yeah,
card,
yeah.
scene card.
I don't know what it's
Maybe I'm
called.
thinking scene card. And it said scene 271. So that's kind of what they went. And people have broken down different ways, and uh, somebody broke it down, and I don't know
Well,
this
the reason
271st scene in the movie or something, which was
or quite
Darkseid
possibly
saying like,
like the panel or page count or whatever, but it was specifically to the omnibus,
yeah,
which I will say Chris knows this very much. Omnibuses are very far and in between. Once they sell out, it is not really something as far as the publishers to be like, oh, let's just go push that back out into print. um so if you cannot find a Final Crisis omnibus, yes, it's a newer omnibus, so it will be easier to find still. Uh, but I mean, it'll be a while before it comes back out into print
but you
from
don't need the
distributors.
omnibus either to enjoy this book. Like I'm
No,
not
no, no, no.
holding up the omnibus.
You can get the trade. You can get DC Universe Infinite and read it. You can get it off of
And that probably
Comixology, whatever.
happened too, right? That probably
Yeah.
happened with other
Um,
people.
yeah, for sure. So the sales of comics is always fun. It then talks about you talk about okay, how does that market inside its value? With in the sense of recently, I think in the solicits for February of 2022, the omnibus Gotham Central is coming back into print. You were not able to buy that book less than $150
Oh
anywhere.
wow.
Now it's going to be marked at $100 for this being a book that is highly sought after now. You'll probably see the price range from individual sellers go up in price. And now you'll have to probably wait until it is pushed from the publishers again to get it at a normal price. So it's very, very interesting, very fun at that point. But as far as this whole Zack Snyder thing, I love the guy, but this is let me see more of his Netflix stuff, his Rebel Moon stuff. That's what I want.
We both would watch, obviously, a Final Crisis movie by him, but we're both in the same boat until it is announced officially, not in development, announced with a date. That's because in development, there's a graveyard of in development projects at DC, including New Gods behind us.
Yes. So Chris is talking about Gotham Central. Um, if
I think
if
I have that
if we can talk about it, um, I think that maybe me and Heinz should do the entire run of Gotham Central um, before Matt Reeves's Gotham show. I think that
Yeah.
would be pretty fun. I
Oh,
recently reread the entire series during the COVID shutdown, but I am down to read it all over again. So
Clay, you have because of Nightwing New Order, you have what I call immunity to recommend any book to me, and I believe that it will be good. That you can abuse this power and recommend a complete stinker, and just laugh knowing that I read it. But right now, you have like complete. Your that book was still one of the better ones I've read yet.
no, I would never do that, and I think Chris can kind of Well, what does SpongeBob say here? He says, even with a date, it might not happen. It's very true. It is 100% very true.
I'm trying to stay positive as
But
possible.
Chris being one that I talk to a lot with comics, he knows that I do not play around with crappy stories, to be completely honest. So my recommendations I tried to keep in the realm of decent to good to just overall fun. So
You're accountable for your recommendations. You're not just a loose like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is great. You if you say something's good, you believe it's good, not willy
yes.
nilly. I feel like that should have been discussion occurred, but
But
I
let's
don't
go
know what else
ahead.
to say. But
Yeah, let's
I
go
think we
ahead
should
and
take an
move
ad break.
on to our ad break, and then we will jump into our first bit of news here. So, guys, we do not choose the ads. We don't choose how many times the ads repeat themselves. And of course, we do not choose the volume, but we will be back in just 1 second. And we are back. So, Chris says here, Clay has opinions, real honest opinions. This I do. Um, so let's go ahead and jump into our very first piece of news here. I'm going down the list of what you sent me um, earlier this week. It looks like, according to Daniel RPK, Black Canary will appear in the HBO Max Batgirl movie. So this is something that I guess wasn't necessarily uh assumed. I think that with the fact that this would lead into Black Canary's movie, that maybe and maybe the appearance of Black Canary will be only a post-credit scene. We're not necessarily sure in full what this means, but having Black Canary in this movie does solidify the fact that, okay, yes, it is streamlining this universe, HBO Max universe, and quite possibly still connecting to the DCEU until told otherwise. But Travis, what do you think about this idea of Black Canary showing up in Batgirl?
I think it's perfect, Clay. Like you said, you could do it as a end credit scene or in a movie thing. It could set up like they team together. It could really set up the actual Birds of Prey, and maybe we'll get that down the line as a HBO Max series. You get one with Black Canary. You get I'm not sure. Did they say it was going to be movie or series with Black Canary?
Black Canary is a movie.
Okay, so well, then this really makes sense. But Batgirl's a movie too, so it's a HBO Max original is Batgirl too, not
Yep.
a theater.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I feel like that may change, listeners. I'm kind of in the camp
I
of,
I don't think
especially,
it will.
you really don't think they're going to put this in theater, especially when if like this is a year and a half, 2 years down the line of coming out. So,
I believe that Batgirl is already in production, so it
oh
could
yeah,
possibly be something that comes out as late as like winter of 2022.
ooh. Even then, though, I don't know. I think this would be great because you could build all these together and like work towards a Birds of Prey, an actual Birds of Prey. Uh,
Oh, I think that's what they're working towards,
yeah.
but it'll be like, if anything, because they're still, not very sure who's going to be Batman in the Batgirl movie. Um,
They definitely know who's gonna be Batman, because you gotta
they
have,
know,
and
but as
I
far
actually
as
think it's gonna be Ben Affleck. I really do, because of just I feel like if there was going to be another Batman cast, that would have gotten out. I feel like that is something that
oh
would
no,
not have
I
been hidden as well. I don't think so.
um,
It's WB. They're not exactly like Sasha Kaye, Supergirl. First day she was on set in the crane, everyone saw her in the suit. I don't really see them as being able to hide things really well. So I think if
I
there was a
will.
new Batman, or maybe Batman, Clay, I think it's more if it's not
How
Batfleck, I
many
think it'll
times
be
did you
more.
hear that Ezra was going to be in the CW Flash?
Oh, I didn't hear. I'm just saying, like in
You
sheer.
you have to give them credit for that.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
If
Sorry,
they want to
sorry. Yeah,
keep one
yeah,
thing secret,
yeah.
I am giving them that much credit.
No, no, I will give him some credit, but also that came together after everything was shot. All the actors and the crew, most of them all knew about, not about him cameo, like thought this was what it was. They didn't even know this scene was going to be involved. and there was only a
Yes,
small
but
amount of people on set. So
I think that honestly though, they could keep it secret enough that you could put in Michael Keaton in there or Ben Affleck. It doesn't really matter.
I feel like if it's not Ben Affleck, it's going to be a Batman's not around. He's off doing something with the Justice League or off
Oh
doing
no,
something
I
else.
think that that's the whole. I think that's what the whole idea of this is, though. I think what it is Batman is either leaving Gotham, and so that's why you will see him, or he will already be gone from Gotham, and Batgirl is protecting the city.
Well,
Like,
not even like she could come about. She could already. We don't know if this is going to be. Do we? We don't know if this is going to be like Batman could already know. Batman's could already have trained her a little bit. I don't know how they're going to start off. So I'm interested in it. I really think they'll
well,
just do it more like
in the
Batman.
sense,
I think they'll do more like Birds of Prey, where
well, I
Batman is
think that
not
you
mentioned.
can what you can look into, and you've already seen this series multiple times. Batgirl was never trained by Batman in Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, 100%. That's a really good route to go too.
And even the more recent 2004 The Batman cartoon on Kids WB.
You just need to show it kind of like Hawkeye did with Kate Bishop. You need to show me the Barbara Gordon training to develop some skills. You can't just say like kind of like I'll say I know it's not a faithful adaptation or anything, but the animation guy I am Harley Quinn animated show. Uh, she just decides because Batman's injured that I'm going to be Batgirl, and it doesn't show how she has any training, and she's still getting stuff. Obviously, the animated show, but I like to see like with Kate Bishop, knowing that Barbara Gordon's like did competitions and trained. I want to
well,
see that
I
kind of stuff.
think even if you do it subtly, even
Yeah.
if you
Oh yeah, like
see,
that's what the Hawkeye show is like. It's in the credits of
yeah,
opening
it's in the
credits.
credits. I think it was in the Batman, the 2004 show. They all they did was show the trophies of
That's
her
yeah, that's
being
fine for me,
in
Clay.
gymnastics. Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
fine for me. That's why, like, I'm not asking for like 20 minutes of her
A
competing,
training
and
montage or
no,
anything.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
want, like I said, I just want you to. I can put the rest together from watching, like with the Kate Bishop showing her medals and that. I don't want to put it all back to that, but I really think that like it took them 2 episodes to hook me into a character that like I really enjoy, and I think they can
But
do the same
even
thing
so,
here.
you can always just go with the idea. Of course, they are bringing back J.K. Simmons, which is a little bit of our news as well. We'll go straight into
Yeah.
that. But she is the daughter of the commissioner, so of course she's going to probably have some personal training with him, saying, "Hey, you need to be able to defend yourself." Put her into things like uh defense classes and all of that other stuff. So she will have some sort of background. And I don't think they need to spoon feed you at all for that. So that'll
No.
be very, very exciting when it all comes out. But I do, in fact, think that all of these movies for HBO Max, um, if perceived well, I think then the idea will be, do we put Gotham City Sirens on the big screen, or because I think it will go from Birds of Prey into a Gotham City Sirens uh versus type of thing. And at that point, that is when the new company of Warner Brothers Discovery will choose, okay, does this stay on the app, or do we push this into theaters?
Or at that time as day and date release, a
Yeah.
steady thing. I don't know there. I think they'll do the Avenger style right with this and have them have all their things like you said eventually come together in a Gotham City Sirens, Birds of Prey type deal.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. But the next bit of news that we have, of course, like I said, we were gonna streamline from the Batgirl Canary news into the fact that J.K. Simmons recently doing some rounds of interviews. I'm not entirely sure if it's specifically for Spider-Man
no, it's for
or
a different
anything else.
movie.
Oh, is he in
Clay.
a new movie
Some
recently?
I think it's a movie neither of us will see.
I didn't know for sure, so I just wanted to double check. But he is doing some interviews, And he did say that he has already seen the script, he's read it. Um, there was apparently something on Twitter said that he almost accidentally gave away who Batman was.
He
I
was like,
haven't
I
seen that
watched the
video.
video, and he was like, he didn't say anything. Just some
Yeah.
people slowed it down and tried to see if they could hear and say a letter of no. He did
But
not.
what he does say is because he's read the script and he knows the format of how the film goes, he will not answer questions that will spoil or give away that format whatsoever. So I do like that he wants to keep the integrity of the film until its release. So really appreciate that from J.K. Simmons. But he does say that he does have a little bit more of a prominent role in this film, being, of course, the father of Batgirl. I really hope that he does have a significant role in this. So really looking forward to it. He does not necessarily throw shade, but he does say, "Hey, I was not really in the movies that I was in, so I'm happy to be playing Commissioner Gordon in a bigger role in this movie." So
Well,
I'm looking forward
he
to
was
this.
cast. He That's the other thing too. I don't even know if Ben Affleck's the Batman wasn't in production at the time. I don't even know if they have him in the movie. Because that's what it was for, really. Same thing as the end scene with Deathstroke setting him up.
Yeah.
That's what that was for. There was things in that movie for setting up like, other things. So that's kind of where that was coming from, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he does say that he's going to start filming in January. So
Yeah,
his stuff is already coming up on, I think they're still filming in Glasgow.
yeah.
Um, Basically, what they have now set as Gotham or modern Gotham. So really excited about all of that. And that's really it as far as the Batman side of news. The other piece of news that we got, you have seen this clip. I did not. This apparently there is a new clip from Peacemaker.
Yeah, it's a minute long, just a little over a minute. Essentially, Peacemaker has a conversation with a janitor from the hospital that he smoked weed with before. He thought that they were super tight, and the janitor essentially jokes around saying, like, no, no, we're not even that close. Like, what are you talking about? Like, don't tell me any secrets. I can't swear to secrecy. And ultimately, he tells him that he's Peacemaker. And the guy laughs in his face and is like, who in the hell's that? And he's like, a hero, did a big deal. Go back and forth. The dude's like, Wonder Woman's a hero. This person's a hero. And then he's like, Aquaman's a hero. And Peacemaker's like, F Aquaman. And that's the clip.
That's essentially it.
With some banter, with the fun zingers and zany things that people would say in a conversation, Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I want to know more about the plot and like what he was doing, and like, is he still doing stuff for Waller, or is this off the book? Is this another thing? So many things I would like to learn about instead of his conversation there. But that's what the show is going to be like. I'm still excited because of movie quality budgets for these things. So I'm excited for the action. I'm excited for the other heroes and villains that we'll see. But this clip will not give you any of that. If you're a fan of James Gunn's writing and banter, essentially letting write a if you watch the Suicide Squad and then you say write a 1.5 minute scene with him and some janitor, James Gunn just go right off the top of your head. That's what it would be.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Our last piece of news, and then we will go into, of course, our main review for tonight being Armageddon Part 2 of The Flash. We got the synopsis to the Batman. This is a little older news. We didn't necessarily talk about it because I didn't really think it was that big of news, but because we are kind of fresh out of news this week, we're going to go ahead and talk about this. So I'm going to read it off and we will give our opinions here. It says, 2 years of stalking the streets as the Batman, striking fear into the hearts of criminals, has led Bruce Wayne deep into the shadows of Gotham City with only a few trusted allies: Alfred Pennyworth, Lieutenant James Gordon. Amongst the city's corrupted network of officials and highly profile figures, the lone vigilante has established himself as the sole embodiment of vengeance amongst his fellow citizens. Now, it says here when a killer targets Gotham's elite with a series of sadistic machinations, a trial of cryptic clues sends the world's greatest detective on an investigation into the underworld where he encounters such characters as Selena Kyle, Oswald Cobblepot, Carmine Falcone, and Edward Nashton, aka the Riddler. As the evidence begins to lead closer to home and the scale of perpetrators' plans becomes clear, Batman must forge a new relationship, unmask the culprit, and bring justice to the abuse of power and corruption that has long plagued Gotham City. So, what are your thoughts on this synopsis?
It gets me excited, Clay. I, you know, Matt Reeves is going to have an interesting take on these characters, and that's kind of what they're hinting here. I love that they're stating it's year two, but they're borrowing a lot of year one elements.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be a little different from in that not telling the origin, but still borrowing. I love that they're talking about the corruption because that's essentially what Riddler's going to attack. One thing I'm really interested in is the clues that he's sending back and forth with the Batman, and I know he's targeting the elite, but does he think Batman? Did Batman inspire him? Is what I'm really curious about.
Yeah.
Uh, did he like make him think that he could take on the 1%?
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting. I mean, this kind of didn't tell us anything more than we didn't already know from trailers. Um, the only big thing, of course, is the inclusion of the 2 years. But we, of course, like you said, there is a lot of year one stuff in here. I think it's kind of like impossible for newer people playing with these toys in the sandbox. They're like, hey, I kind of want to still do the year one stuff. I kind of want to give these people the feeling of what my Batman is like when he first starts. So I'm not going to knock it against them. It's something that every person who wants to play with Batman does. Um, I'm just super excited. I'm really interested to see how the marketing goes, just because of how we saw last night and today, dealing with the Spider-Man tickets. If Batman will be anything like this for sure, you
Oh,
know.
it definitely will be.
So I will be very excited when all of that goes down. And of course, I'm super excited for the movie. So let's go ahead and take our last ad break. And we will talk, of course, The Flash, Season 8, Episode 2, Part 2 of Armageddon. We will be right back.
No, oh.
And we are back now. Guys, of course,
Install it as
everybody
long as possible.
everybody on screen can see me doing this, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this right up into the mic so you know what I'm doing. I'm pouring out some whiskey because my god.
No, I'm going to
Okay.
agree with Chris, who was in the chat. It's not as bad as that, listeners. Like, it's not like pour whiskey out. There's plenty of. Clearly, this is somebody who hasn't kept up with the show because there were a lot more. The lightsaber fight is no. I'm sorry. There's nothing in this episode as bad as that lightsaber fight that ended after last season. So, uh,
I have not watched the lightsaber fight.
well, then just
I
stay
will
away
not.
from it
Well,
because you'll.
I have watched the clips. I have not watched the in context episode of the lightsaber fight.
You would mix your drink. You just be drinking from the bottle. Well, actually, no. You put a paper bag. You put the bottle in a paper bag, and then you just drink from the bottle.
I will. I mean, if I have to, I will start drinking from this bottle because, oh boy, this. So Chris, like you said in our chat, said it was one of the better episodes. I will be completely honest. Maybe it's just the fact that I have not watched classic DCCW in quite some time. Um, this episode felt like there was a giant fight in the writer's room, and they took three different stories and then just shuffled the pages together and then said, "Hey, let's film this." That's what it felt like.
What you're saying is essentially that Funny or Die or some sort of sketch like that, where the Flash writers' room, well, were in horror when they said they had an extra season. That's
Yeah. Yeah, no,
what you're
that's
saying here.
yeah, that video that you sent us. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was it you that sent it or
I
was
think
it
that
Brent?
was crit.
It was
Somebody sent that in the chat.
whoever I think it was Brent, whoever put it in the chat. If you can find it again, I would very much like to watch that again because that's what this felt like. Holy
I
crap.
don't think it was that bad, but also I don't know if Chris said it was one of the better episodes, maybe of the last like season or two, because this is nowhere near like any of the top tier like first couple seasons episodes of Flash. This is not bad. There's some stuff I enjoy. There's a lot of stuff I have questions about. I really think I figured out why this stuff has happened, which I'm a little sad that they're going to go this route again. But Clay, let's talk about the episode or some of the things in the episode. I guess Despero's giving Flash a week, but he says that his mind cracks the next day. And then there's a meta that can mess with people's minds and make them do things and say things. So that's pretty quinkety.
Yeah.
The day you're going to lose your mind.
And then like the really big thing that like I had kind of I think alluded to when we talked about the very first episode of this was because they even said it in this episode. How do we know that it's not Despero that is the one manipulating Barry's mind to, crack like this? Which I still think is a possibility.
I don't. Putting it
And
down there now, listeners. I can't believe I'm actually saying this again, but it's clearly the Reverse Flash. He's clearly messed with the timeline, made the investigation happen, and let's just get down to the nitty gritty here, because
yeah,
if you're
let's
asking
because
questions like I'm asking questions, I watched this episode
I
a second time. I watched this episode a second time, listeners, because spoiler alert: Joe's freaking dead. Joe's dead. Had no idea. The drop. Now it takes back to what we talked about the last episode when they were like, when she asked if anybody died, you told Chris it was what's her name's mom that
I
died.
thought yes. So I did
I don't.
research.
I looked up, could not find that anywhere.
It was Cecile's mom
Yeah, but no,
that I
it's
thought was
Cecile's.
like a big thing about, hey, maybe she's like grieving over this. I mean, if your mother died, you'd probably grieve over it too. I understand. Now, I was very confused at this. I didn't watch this episode until literally an hour before we started recording. The ending was already spoiled. I went ahead and messaged Travis and I was like, hey, so apparently this happens. That being, of course, Joe dying. And Travis says, I think so. Maybe, kind of. I don't know.
I watched it a second time to make
which
sure.
is hilarious. Which is hilarious because the end of the episode literally states Joe is dead. Like verbatim. It's
multiple
in story.
times.
It's not like we as the audience need to figure it out. No, they have an entire scene where Barry is very confused as of why he isn't remembering this and everybody else is. So let's talk about this possibility. Do you think it's real?
Oh, 100%. I think that it's the Reverse Flash messed with timeline. I think that he cannot go back. You can't go back before the events of Crisis. And this stuff did not happen until, because that was his first plan, was go back pre-Crisis, was go back to before he stop him from becoming the Flash.
Yes.
So clearly the second thing was when he saw him in the end of the last season, Flash basically shows off his true speed, and Reverse Flash is not matched, like couldn't do anything.
Yes.
And they made a point in this episode or the last episode to state, no, this episode, Despero states to the Flash that you've recently had a level up, power up, of course.
Level up.
of speed.
I was really tempted. I told Joe this. I was really tempted to put in the Scott Pilgrim uh level up sound into my phone, so that way whenever every single time that we say level up, I would just play it. But
Yeah.
it was so annoying because they said it again like 3 or 4 times in this episode. I'm just like, God damn it, I'm tired of leveling up.
But ultimately, I think that when the Reverse Flash saw that, he knew immediately, and he figured that he could make his mind break now because of his enhanced speed. He was susceptible to that, so he concocted this plan. The only thing I don't know is if Despero is involved, if Despero is just an unwilling pawn, if because we were showing the Flash throwing lightning in that could have easily been Reverse Flash in Flash's costume, and that's causing the Flash to question himself even more. I
Mhm.
just don't know if Despero's involved or if Despero has been tricked by Thawne into thinking that it was Flash when ultimately it was Reverse Flash that was doing these things. Because we've seen him, he can he suck people's faces off and warn them. He can definitely put on a Flash suit, and also the security at Star Labs. He could have just zoomed in, took pictures, took a copy. Hell, he helped make the suit. I'm sure he got a couple extras hidden away in some other wall in Star Labs. So I don't think him wearing the costume is out of it. So I think he's messing with the Flash. Took away Joe, have everybody questioning him, and I think he's the one that they showed throwing lightning and going crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of works out really well. But I can't believe they're using it again.
I think that it is real. And I'm going to go the extra mile and say that the actor who is playing Joe has been wanting to get out of this show for multiple reasons. Biggest reason, though, he has had health issues with his back. I know that he was out of commission, I think, the fourth season, one of the
I
last
think it was a
seasons.
bit sixth season or something. It wasn't that long ago.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. That he missed like an entire like first half of the season because of his back issues.
yeah,
Um and guys, he just like Professor Stein, he comes from,
theater.
a place of theater where it's not so heavily into the action scenes and everything else, and so he's not really used to this, and he's getting much older. So I could see why he's like, yeah, just write me off the show. Like I'm done. I'll take.
That's I think he just probably watched back an episode and was like, yeah, write me out of that show. I don't think
He was
actually
like
you're right. You're right. I'm being
during
silly.
during the COVID shutdown. He's like, I'll watch this season. Why not? And then he was like, oh crap, yeah, write
Or
me
he could
out
have
of
been
the
like, I'm
show.
gonna watch this whole show with my family. Come on. And they started at season one. He's like, yeah, I'm in that.
Yeah,
It's like the Yodeler on
yeah, he just goes
Price is
downhill
Right.
from there. Um, but there's some issues, like I said, the amalgam of the entire script being wonky, and I did not like it. But one thing that really bothered me, and this may just be me not being caught up with this show. Um, this show is nothing without Cisco. Uh,
Ah.
I the scenes without the Flash are just boring without Cisco.
I feel like I feel
I
like
will
this is
be
why
that
you
person.
haven't watched it in the last couple seasons because it started to get like that with Cisco because I feel like we reached the end of uh, his
Well,
comic
see,
relief.
I didn't see his storyline of like because the last time I saw Cisco was when he had his powers taken away. I did
Was it
not.
when he didn't want his powers, or when he
Yes,
wanted them, or when he
no, no.
didn't want them, or then when he
Okay.
made the mechanical ones,
So
and then he could have,
I didn't see him make the mechanical ones. So
yeah,
I only knew when he was done with being um uh I forgot his superhero name.
vibe.
Vibe. Yeah, when he was done being Vibe, that was the last time I saw. Which was I think season 5. So like seeing this new dynamic of the team, like it just was like weird and wonky, and because of the script it didn't feel genuine. And then like the random storyline of the radiation, but of course it was because of the radiation gun that one guy was making for Frost, and it's just like
Also, no, we got to go back as well because I think that Reverse Flash also set this in
sabotage.
motion.
Oh, and also because of all of that, got rid of Gideon. You have literally gotten rid of everything that was good in the show. Like
I think that
I'm
this is Reverse Flash still play. I think that he's on the chessboard. What do I need? I need to get rid of Gideon. Can't have her helping out Flash. She's probably more valuable than any of these team members. And same thing here. Got to get
but
rid of the base of operations. Now that one is I question getting rid of Star Labs because, like I said before, it is the most like unsecure facility. So if you're a villain, I mean, you could just walk right in, walk through the door at any point in time. So
So
I
are
thought it was
they
interesting
do
though.
you think they are doing this to set up the final season? To basically say, "Hey, the reveal is Reverse Flash." It'll basically be a rewrite of season 1, an homage, if you will, and then the series is over. Because my god, I hope so.
I don't know, Clay. They seem like they'll do the Arrow route, won't they, with the show this long and tell you that it's going to be the final season before the season starts. So I don't. I'm sorry to say this. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for you, but I feel like if Flash is going to end, we'll know before the season starts. I don't think they'll ceremoniously. Now they could announce after this Armageddon event that this is the final season. They could very well do that. And
When are pickups?
I don't know anymore, Clay. I don't know if that even applies anymore with CW. It's
I mean, it technically does. It
I
technically
don't know
does.
when, but I really think that I'm saying this so you can see how pleased I am at saying the possibility of a ninth season of the Flash. But I don't know. I tell you one thing: all this stuff and the what I see from this, the reception from this crossover net, I only gets me more hopeful.
Oh, speaking
Only
of
gets me more hopeful for a revival of a Green Arrow for a season because the
Travis,
CW is like
it's never happening, Travis.
in tattered. Oh, don't ever
I-
say that. Never. All right, like we can put compilation of people saying never things are going to happen. One other thing I want to talk about. I really hope that we see Charlie Lee's character actually in Central City and not just via FaceTime. Because if you're billing her as one of the characters that's going to cross over,
That's what I was
and
about to say. The crossover is a blink and you miss it twice.
well,
Twice. If you
it
blink,
it
you missed
isn't.
it.
It is like I said. It's not going to be for Black Lightning because he's going to start into the next episode. He's going to be
Yes.
there. But for I'm forgetting her name now, and that's really driving me crazy.
Alex.
Alex, yeah. If Alex is only in there as a lead, like basically as in Alien Encyclopedia, uh, or Alien Library,
I think
basically.
that's what it was.
And she didn't even have information really. But
Because if you look at the poster, let's look at the poster again. Let me
is
I'm looking at it right here. I'm gonna okay, so there's Adam,
she's
there's
in her
Alex.
suit. No, she's in her suit.
She's in her suit, but that's just free marketing. Now,
Well, like I said,
look at the amount of heroes. There's Adam, there's Alex, there's Mia, there is
Black
Black
Lightning.
Lightning, and then there's Batwoman. That's 5 heroes for 5 episodes. This was Alex's crossover.
Maybe, hey, maybe if it is, that's not. I'm very disappointed in that. Although COVID, they'll obviously say COVID restrictions.
You can say that, but they had
They all
what's his
film in
name?
Vancouver.
What's no except for
Jefferson,
no
Jefferson, yeah.
Jefferson came all the way from he lives in America. His show is over. And he went all the way into Canada to film that. And I think that the actress for Alex was just like, "Hey, my show is over. I think I'm moving on to other stuff, possibly. I'm just making assumptions at this point." And so she's like, "Hey, you can use me in a video call." You know?
I have, like I said, I'm not sure with their deals either. I don't know what it is for them appearing. I, I I feel like the prediction I had, there's no chance of that happening. I'm okay
No.
with it. I'm okay with it. I thought it was fun at the time, but clearly
This is why
this is not making me
this is
think
why you
that.
lower expectations, Travis.
I'll tell
We
you one
just
thing.
had the conversation about
I'll tell you one
expectations.
thing. I'll tell you one thing that's not going to make you happy. When I read the description for the 5th episode, uh, there was a part there saying Mia Queen comes back to make sure somebody doesn't die. I did think I didn't have the thought, you know, maybe she's coming back to stop her father from dying.
Stop it. Stop it.
Obviously
Stop
not
it.
true, but I think
No.
Clay would say, "Stop it." That's right.
That is not happening. But one thing that bothered the ever living crap out of me in this episode is they learn that this new villain can control people with their minds. And it actually happens to the Flash. And then they basically shoot him to get him back to his normal self. And then later on in the show, he's like, "Hey, I need to face her again." I'm sorry, but in season 1 and in season 2, they took precautions for the villain not to be able to do the same thing twice. He ran
Mm,
into
Go watch the
this.
episode with the turtle.
Hmm.
I am right. He uses his power of stabbing him multiple times, and all the Flash does multiple times is run into the room, and basically does the exact same thing here, which is he throws, but he uses his power, like his special extra power, and same thing he does here.
Vibrating his cells at a molecular level to
But he
create
doesn't.
lightning.
But yeah, but essentially, Clay, that's why they have done it before. I agree with you. They shouldn't be doing it.
It bothered the shit out of me. I was just like, guys,
Maybe it's
this
because
is
they
gonna
don't state
happen.
it. Maybe because they don't state it, because essentially he states, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go run around and find her again." It worked the first time, and no plan of anything. But also, it could be like he developed the plan. You maybe instead, if you want to show the growth of the Flash, uh, not I wouldn't say not needing team, but being smart enough to figure this out, maybe have him explain it to one of the people. Let him know, like, don't give away, or I guess they want to do the surprise of him vibrating his molecules and having Chester explain it. But it was okay scene for me. Like that was supposed to be like a big special effects like scene, and that was just okay for me. I thought that the villain, I don't even remember her accent or what she
Yeah,
sounded like. She was very forgettable.
I can't remember the name either.
That's how forgettable it was. I did enjoy the final scene with uh, Barry and Black Lightning, because for one, it gives me anyway in my head canon that this Justice League has. Uh, I'm trying to think what the right term to use here. Fail safes for their members, because that's kind of what I'm taking from Injustice is one member's kind of goes rogue, and that's what Flash is saying, that he's going to go
I
rogue.
didn't. Maybe it is, but my god, that line, I did not like it.
If that's the code name, and if
J-
you can even do it for me even more, saying uh, this program was started before this was even like this Justice League was even a concept. Like Oliver Queen had this in place if I was ever to go rogue. So show me some nanites from courtesy of Ray Palmer to help slow down Flash. But I did like that. I will tell you, it took me a while to figure out the Injustice, because the first time they said Injustice, I was like, oh, don't even remind me about that. Thinking about the animated movie, but please don't go that route. But then when I thought about it, I figured that was the code name was Injustice, because somebody was turning bad, and that's Flash essentially thinking that he's turning bad. I'm excited to see what Black Lightning's going to do. Showcase his powers. We didn't really get much with him in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. So
Correct.
I'll be
Yeah.
interested to see him interacting with Flash, and maybe they'll form a great duo together because we haven't got much scenes from them, but what we have, I have enjoyed.
Very, very true. Now, before we end this podcast, I want to go ahead and say we do have one listener question, that being, of course, Chris's question, which
Okay.
is let me actually go back to it. He had it up here in
Amalgam. It was the Marvel and DC characters.
yes, it says right here, what Marvel and DC characters would you like to see merge in a modern day amalgam comics movie or comic book?
For me, I will do both,
All
and
right,
I
so
will.
what is your movie pitch for an amalgam movie?
My amalgam comic first will
Oh,
be
okay, okay,
the Flash and Spider Man
okay,
crossing over and doing some sort of combination of Into the Spider Verse and Flashpoint, kind of
okay,
merging that idea of changing, going back and changing time, but also crossing through the multiverse as well.
okay,
So that's kind of what I would like to see, and kind of just getting all different kinds of Spider-Man and even some different Flashes.
okay,
And
okay.
that's kind of what I would like to see, just a crazy time traveling spectacle.
Very nice. And well, let me go ahead and do my comic. My amalgam, and usually what amalgam means is that the two characters fuse together. Um, my two characters that I would like to see fused together is Kate Bishop and Stephanie Brown as
Ooh.
spoiler. So those two characters, um, they have the same color scheme, so you wouldn't really change too much in their costume. But one is trained. Oh, they're both trained hand to hand. But of course, Kate Bishop's archery would be very, very fun to implement into everything there. That's the comic book idea that I would have. Just having that character um, in an amalgam comic book. What about your movie pitch? What is an amalgam that you would want for your movie?
I thought about this for a while. I really did. And ultimately, I would like a I would like Wolverine to discover the helmet of fate.
Wolverine and Doctor Fate. Whew. That would make sense just because Doctor Fate has lived for quite some time,
Yeah,
and
that's what I was going for.
he has been in several different ages of Justice Leagues. Same as Wolverine, he has been in different ages of war and just lived for a very long time. So that would be fun. So I went kind of the same route as far as the Wolverine character, and I went
Ooh.
Laura. So of course Laura is X-23, and I would amalgam Laura with oh shoot, what was it? With Orphan.
Look at
Yeah.
you with all the Young Justice. Also, we'll just want to say with your spoiler thing. I love Twitter people tweet Greg Wiseman whenever spoiler isn't in the episode with a picture of spoiler saying no spoilers this time. And it's just he retweets a lot of them. It's fantastic. But that's a great combination, and
Yeah,
I'll be
I
one to
would I
admit.
would want Laura and Orphan. They have kind of dark pasts, but they are very much characters that at one point were very underestimated. Um, and I do think, well, Laura has taken the mantle um, of Wolverine, but I do believe that Orphan is very much an individual that, if she wanted to, could even take the mantle of Batman, or take the place of Batman um, at one point in her life. So definitely amalgam of those two. Uh, Basically become another Dark Claw, like the amalgam comic is, which I have like every version of Dark
That's what
Claw
I was thinking about
actually.
with the Wolverine Doctor Fate.
Yeah.
Like him wearing the helmet. Oh my god.
Yeah. So guys, if you haven't gone to find these Amalgam comics, if you go to your local half price books or whatever, um, they're usually just randomly in those bins. Go check them out. They're really fun to read. I know there's one where Bruce Wayne is an agent of Shield.
I
Uh,
sent you that picture, I think, from the thrift store I was in, or maybe I wrote you and asked you about it
yeah, yeah.
because I did see the comic there, and I was like, I
They
don't.
are fun. There is one of Storm, and I believe it's Storm is an Amazon, basically. She is Wonder Woman. Of course, Superman and Captain America, Wolverine and Batman become Dark Claw. The villain that Dark Claw faces is the hyena, that being Sabretooth and Joker combined.
God,
Superboy and Spider-Man are the ones that are mixed together there.
it should be Spider-Man
Really,
and the Flash, in my opinion.
there is a Speed Demon, which is the Ghost Rider and Etrigan from Justice League Dark. So really, really fun stuff. Go check those books out when you can. But with that being said, that is the end of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for lasting this long. And of course, we will see you guys next week.
For part 3 of Flash Armageddon, Clay, hopefully we'll get some cool Black Lightning stuff. Think about that.
I will
Think about
save
that.
the rest of this whiskey for that episode.
We could. I'm thinking we'll get some cool Black Lightning stuff. Watch, he'll be out for
Hopefully,
two.
hopefully.
He'll be out for 2 minutes and just electrocute Barry and then leave. No, I got a feeling we're going to see some cool Black Lightning stuff. Fingers crossed.
All right. See you later.
Later.